What's your financial goal?
You want more money? Turn what you know into dough. Start hanging out with the people who have it. You create wealth on your own terms. It is not only your rights, but your duty to build wealth.
You are fiscally fabulous.
It's time to enjoy your legacy.
You're listening to Fiscally Fabulous with Dr. Teresa R. Martin, Esquire, a podcast that aims to provide you with the tools, guidance, and encouragement you need to build your wealth, enjoy your wealth, and leave a lasting legacy. Dr. Martin is an accomplished attorney, speaker, business consultant, and real estate strategist, an all-around self-made success who provides highly sought-after expert consulting in the creation, growth, and maintenance of generational wealth.
We are getting the party kicked off, and I'm so excited because today I am so excited to have Burton Alicando.
That's right. You said it perfectly.
I feel like I am speaking another language. That is so awesome. Alicando.
I like that. You emphasize it. It sounds very exotic when you say it. I love it.
Alicando. But yeah, so I'm really excited to have Burton on here. He is the senior product specialist for PropStream. And if you don't know about PropStream, I don't know where you've been, but PropStream provides data, they provide tools and marketing solutions for real estate entrepreneurs, agents, professionals. And you need this kind of information to make informed decisions and make sure you stay ahead of the game. So Burton is like a product specialist. He's going to tell us all of the hidden gems and what we need to know about PropStream. So Burton, welcome to Fiscally Fabulous.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be here to share with you everything I know about our product.
This is awesome. So we're going to just dive in, right? We're not going to keep anybody waiting, but I want you to explain to them, like you've been with PropStream nearly since the beginning. So what inspired, what inspired, PropStream? Like, how did it come about? And if you can dive into that, but also how has PropStream's mission evolved over time?
Oh, that's really a great question. Two great questions. So the inception, let's start there. So The inception of PropStream started only because we saw the hardship of what investors were doing prior to technology being on the forefront, before internet, before computers, before any of this stuff. Real estate professionals, and anybody watching, listening to this right now, in order to build an off-market list, you had to go physically to the county. And what that looked like was go into the county physically and capturing physical records. We're talking pre-foreclosures, auctions, cash transactions. There could be delinquencies you can capture there, tax liens, HOA liens, property, city liens. Lots of physical data of properties going through a situation was usually captured at the county. So that's what we saw as an opportunity. What if the company can take that hard work off the back of that real estate professional? And that was essentially, what if we go get the data and then house it into our server and then give it to the user? That way they don't have to go anywhere. They could just pull their leads, analyze properties, and get to their business, which is to talk to sellers and buyers. So that's the essential philosophy behind the inception of PropStream. As to where it's at now, since 2006, that was over about 20 years ago now, or nearly 20 years ago now. Obviously, the technology, the data has dramatically evolved. We went from a handful of people to now dozens of people working at PropStream, but the mission has stayed the same. And that's essentially get that data to the user as fast as possible, ensure that it's accurate, ensure that it's unique, and ensure that it does what it's supposed to do. And that's help you analyze properties and source on and off market leads for your business. And that's essentially our mission. And it's still our mission to this very day.
So needed. It's so needed because my head was spinning when you were talking about, going back in the day, because I was one of those people I'm like, oh my goodness, going to the county, making the copies, trying to figure out what to do. So I was that person. So yes, that's exactly right. To have a tool now that cuts through all of that processes and research and going from this county courthouse to that county courthouse and trying to combine the data and doing all the, yes.
I think you nailed something that's very important right there, that what you just said. One of the questions I still get to this very day is, since you just said that, Burton, couldn't I just go to the county and do exactly what PropStream's doing? The answer is technically yes, you can. But you said something very important just a few seconds ago, and that was combining that data. That's one thing people don't realize, is that the combination has already been done. All right, we took all the hard work of getting all that separate data and bringing it to our server so that you can pull up a property and see all that separate data on one screen, right? The mortgage, the property info, the comps, the tax, and the other properties the owner has. But most importantly, it's the second part of our product, and that's the lead generation. We've gotten questions before, can we stack data together? Can I put a pre-foreclosure on top of a senior owner who failed on market because you guys have MLS data? The answer is yeah. That's the key component. The hard work was to go get the data and connect it to each other. But now you have the ability to manipulate that data. So if you want a pre-foreclosure that's owned by a senior who failed on the MLS recently, we got you covered. Come check us out.
That's really, and what you said is key. It's just data, right? So a lot of things, unless you are a data person, I got a lot of degrees, but I promise you, being an analyst is not one of them. Okay. So to have all that information is incredible. And with over 160 million properties in your system, what sets PropStream? Like, what sets you guys up or apart from the data space compared to all these other platforms out there?
That's a really good question, because when I first started with PropStream many years ago, I was like probably 12 plus years ago, we didn't have too many, call it what you will, other similar products in the space. You might call them competition. I don't. I'll tell you why I don't call anybody competition, because we're all here to help you guys. That's it. I'll be the first to say, use it if it helps you help a homeowner. Now, let's answer the real question. What is the difference between PropStream and everybody else out there? Let me give you an analogy here. What we're doing is nothing new. Again, anybody that's listening can, if they wanted to, start their own PropStream tomorrow morning. So here's the analogy I can give you, us compared to everybody else, right? We're all getting the same ingredients. You can get the data that we're getting. There are major providers out there that can grab the same data that we're getting. So think of it this way, okay? Let's say everyone listening right now, including me and Dr. Teresa, let's say we all go to the same grocery store. We all get the same 10 ingredients, right? Let's call that data now. We all get the same 10 data sets. We take it back to our house, but the real question is, who cooks better with it? That's real estate data. I see people all the time, they go from one product to the next product to the next product to the next product, trying to chase something. I don't know what they're chasing, but I get it. It's like going from one restaurant to the next restaurant to the next restaurant. And little do you know, every restaurant's just using the same ingredients. It's just who's cooking better with it. And that's the separator between products. It's not, oh, they're getting unique data that the other person's. No, we're all getting pretty much, for the most part, unique data. Are there some data sets that might be unique to that platform? Absolutely. We have unique data sets that's unique to us that nobody else has. Ultimately, it all derives from the same core ingredients. It's who cooks better with it. And I assure you, I don't think anybody cooks better than us. I might be a little biased right now, but just take a look at our PropStream Intelligence we launched in November of last year, just to give you a prime example.
That's the AI tool, right? Is that the AI?
Absolutely.
Wow.
And essentially, when AI was coming into the industry, we started seeing what others were using it for. We saw them using it for marketing, for customer support, or outreach. Maybe they're using an AI to talk to a homeowner now, or to craft their postcard. All these are great concepts of utilizing AI, but again, we like to cook differently here. So what we decided to do with our AI is to look at our data. And one of our biggest data sets is MLS data. We told our data, our AI, our new PropStream Intelligence, to do a few things. But one of the things I love that it's doing right now, it's going through the millions of MLS photos we've collected over the last decade and giving it a grade. So now when you pull up a property that is on market, was on market, sold on market, failed on market, when we have photos, we're able to give it a grade. So that way, when you pull up that property, you know if the kitchen's in great condition or in disrepair or in excellent condition. You're probably wondering, Burton, just giving us a grade, how's that important? What if I told you that we gave you filters with it as well? So now for the first time ever, you don't have to go through all these MLS websites and go through picture after picture to find that one that's in disrepair. What if I told you that you can search any city, any county in PropStream and say, I want a property that's in disrepair and we just give you all the properties that have disrepaired photos in them. That's how we cook differently. So again, what's the difference between us and any other platform out there? Again, it's just how they cook with the data. I can assure you, we cook a lot differently than most out there. And that's because that's who we are. I'll be the first to say, I'm a data geek. I love data. I eat, sleep, breathe data. People call me Neo sometimes. Like when I look at data, I see images. I see things that we can do. You might look at data and just see data. That's not us over here. We're different. And that's my answer. So
first of all, let me tell you, I love the chef analogy because I am the one, you can give me all those ingredients. And I promise you, one will be burnt because I don't know how to cook. But I love that because it's so unique how you explained how you're different, because you're right. There are a lot of tools out there. And I always tell my real estate community, get in where you fit in. Some may feel as ease of use. Some may feel that I need a little bit more complication in what I do because I feel smarter when I do that, whatever the case may be. But what you just explained was really something I've never heard from any other data source. And I've been interviewing a lot of data, not for the podcast, but just specifically for my community, to find out like what tools do we want to like partner with to be able to offer to our community, because that's the biggest thing. You want to be of service to the community, the real estate community. You want to provide them resources and tools that is ease of use, that meets their bottom line, but also meets their overall objective on what you're looking for. Because like you mentioned, where you said, you don't know what they're looking for. Half the time, they don't know what they're looking for, right? They've been to some seminar, they've been to something, and someone told them that you need to get a data tool. You need to get some resources. And so they go out and they just pick some resources. So I like what you mentioned about being the cook, going to the grocery store. All of that just makes sense. And so I'm going to bring that back in because even someone who may be listening, and they may say, that's data, I'm like scared of it. It's just like math, right? Or an IRS, everybody's scared of it, right? That might scare a lot of people. So how can beginners, start leveraging the PropStream platform to find their first deal or off-market deal, what they may be looking for without overwhelm?
That's a great question. The honest truth is there's many options to go about this. The first one would be just go in there and just have at it, right? Face that fear head on and go from in there, start playing with it, start building your filters and whatnot. But again, as a company, understood that's not the way some people learn. Some people don't like to face the fear head on. And it's a funny story. This is essentially how my position developed. When PropStream was going through the business roller coaster, we had our ups, we had our downs. One of our moments was we're starting to realize people aren't using our product effectively. And to your point, it's probably because they didn't know how to use our product effectively. And that's actually another thing to highlight about, again, things that kind of separate us from others. We're all consumers here at PropStream as well. I'm a consumer. Right? I'm sure after this, I'm going to be looking at products and buying things on websites, right? As consumers, I also like to know how to use things I'm going to buy. Right? I don't just go buy a new vacuum and not know how to use it. That's not what we do. And so we apply that same mindset to PropStream is that, hey, hold on here. What if we can educate the user how to effectively use PropStream? What would that do for the user? What would it do for the business? Win-win. It helped the user find deals, analyze properties. It helped the business because they stuck on PropStream a lot longer. It's called retention. So it increased. Fast forward it. Now we just double down on it. You have PropStream Academy, which is free. This is an online course you can find on our main website. As a matter of fact, you don't even need to have PropStream to access this free online course. But this online course is designed for anybody that wants to learn PropStream through the eyes of an investor or a real estate agent. So that's option one. If you want to learn more about PropStream, take the free online course. Option number two, this is more my format. We have tons of really quick how-to videos, 2 to 3, 4, 5-minute videos, how to export, how to build your postcard, how to skip trace, how to upload your old list and get updates. We have tons of how-to videos. Again, those are free. You don't need to have a subscription. So if you want to watch those videos first before you start your trial, go ahead and do it. And the third option is we do daily webinars. Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard, we do a daily webinar with different topics. We want to make sure that you understand that format. So I would recommend maybe join a daily webinar, maybe all of them, Monday through Friday, get yourself, a little bit more experience, talk to the live demonstrator, ask questions, and then start your trial.
Fiscally fabulous, fiscally fabulous. Lifestyle business is money. How can I make them work for me? Lifestyle business is money. How can I make them work for me? That's when I call Dr. Teresa and tell her I need her. The financial mistress can help you build your businesses.
So for me, I think that's a very important question. And it's one of the things that we like to do is to educate you on best practices, what certain things do in PropStream. And we feel that educating you and how to effectively use our product not just helps the company, but ultimately helps you get closer to your homeowners and buyers that you need to help. And so that's one of the resources that we love to provide is that free education.
And I like what you mentioned as far as three doors that they can go into to try to find more information about how to use PropStream. That is one of the things that I find is what you mentioned, like as a consumer, you like to see how to use it and implement it. That's not everyone. We have a lot of those out there that really someone told me that this is the tool that they have. And they may have seen some success, what have you. But when I looked at my audit, because I have to audit my business all the time, and just like that gym membership. Like I told my husband, okay, can we just cancel that? Because I haven't seen the gym since a year. Like, can we just cancel that? Because it's just wasting. I can put that and reallocate that to something else. Same thing with tools and resource. So what you mentioned as far as the training, the live webinars that people can go on to, and just the academy itself, just all without having a subscription or being a client, knowing what you're getting into, knowing how to use the tool. So one, when you get your free trial, now you're going in really understanding what to do and you're not wasting it, fiddling around. And then by the time you know it, your free trial is over and you didn't get a chance to fully use it because now you're doing the learning before you get on the platform. Now you're doing straight implementation. So you see how great the tool really is. So I really like the 3 doors before you even go behind the paywall, which is so awesome.
Exactly. Yeah. Or when one of our previous owners used to say this one thing that used to always resonate me is let's not try to build the plane when it's in the air already. So I always like that. And I think a lot of consumers, a lot of real estate professionals who are getting into this business want to fly right off the bat. And we don't need to fly right off the bat. Let's build the plane. Let's make sure the structure is good. And then we can go take off and have a smooth flight. Thank you for highlighting that. That means a lot to us because that's one of the things that we just love doing is giving back, educating, and just helping people in general. So thank you for highlighting that.
No, thank you for having it because really, thank you for having it because I know you know what it means because you're in that space. But what I'm telling you, there's a lot of people who they say they have how-to videos, but I need to even learn how to use the how-to video. That's how complicated
That's so
it is.
true.
So I need a how-to or how to use and understand your how-to video. So it's always so complicated and you make it complicated, where it means a confused mind, how they say a confused mind don't move, a confused mind don't buy. So you're really eliminating that fear factor with getting people to understand why they need this tool and understanding the why as they're learning how to do the how, which is so important. So thank you, PropStream, for all that you do in the space for helping people understand how to get better data so that they can make better, more informed decisions. And with that, I want to just jump into your 20, what is it called? The 20 lead list that you guys?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Let us know about that.
So part of our data set, so this is, again, there's 2 parts. You were asking, what can you do with PropStream? 2 important things. You can either search an address and look at all the amount of information we captured. I mentioned earlier, like mortgage data, their portfolio, comps in the area, property info. But the other thing that you can do is, again, manipulate that data. We have filters, so you can build your own list, or if you're in need of help on where to start, that's what Dr. Teresa's mentioning. We have what we call lead lists. We have 20 different lead lists that you can choose from. I like to think of the lead list, the traditional approach where you would go to the county and grab a list of properties to work on. And that's what the lead list is. When you search a county, a city, you could go into our filter menu and the first area is our lead list, which gives you 20 categories. categories like auctions, bank-owned properties, bankruptcies, divorces, failed listings, people that are buying and selling houses on less than 2 years of their purchase. We call that our flippers list. We got liens. We're not talking mortgages, guys. We're talking involuntary liens, tax liens, HOA, child support liens. We even have a category we call pre-probate, which is our deceased list. It shows you anybody who's a deceased owner that's name is still on the title. Obviously, we have MLS data, so we can show you on, off market, failed listings, tired landlords, upside down properties. That's negative equity properties. That's our most recent category we added. And then one I'm sure everyone's going to ask right off the bat is zombie properties. What is that? Those are our pre-foreclosures that are not answering their mail anymore. But these are just a few examples of some of the 20 categories that you can select from when you start pulling leads in your market or in any market that you desire to find leads in.
That is one, when you talked about all the different data, what you call it, the tool sets, the feature sets. When you mentioned that, I'm just sitting here as a former, I'm retired from the consumer side, but also I'm a former foreclosure defense attorney. Right now I'm on the other side, representing investors and private lenders and things of that sort. But those were some of the tools that from the legal side, what I look at when it comes to finding property, seeing what was coming up on the data rolls for my clients and why all these investors were actually contacting them. Because that was the biggest thing. All my clients like, well, how do they know? Why are they contacting me? Why are they knocking on my door? These kinds of things. So it's really good to know that you guys have those points in there. And with that, when you mentioned all of the things that's involuntary, child support and things of that sort, and that leads me to the non-traditional type of investor, right?
Yes.
So how can like someone who's looking for tax liens and distressed mortgages and maybe some lease option opportunities, because even though they're not going after the property per se, they may wind up with the property. They're doing paper now, but it may turn into property later. So how can these type of investors utilize PropStream's tools?
Well, so I really like this question. And it's actually a philosophy that I try to promote quite often.
So much has changed in the world, and reasons for legal counsel are many. With the law offices of Teresa R. Martin, PC, you walk in looking for solutions, but when you walk out with a growth mission and a support network. Get an attorney in real estate and business who knows and understands how to eliminate debt. Teresa has built an empire designed to grow businesses and strengthen communities. martinlegal.com.
And that philosophy is that a lead isn't always going to be on a lead list, such as the 20 that I just mentioned a few moments ago. The lead lists are great starting points, as I mentioned, just like in the past, going to the county and grabbing a list and then take it from there. You could do the same thing with our lead list. But to answer your question in its totality, I think what makes PropStream unique is that we went away from what I call the fast food approach. And what I mean by that is most products out there force you to pick a list. So when you search a market, it's like, hey, what do you want in this market? Do you want pre-foreclosures? Do you want tax liens? Do you want high equity properties, vacant properties? What do you want first? And then from there, you build upon that. I call that the traditional search, or for another better example, I call that the fast food approach, because you have to start with the list and then you go from there. Just like if you go to a fast food restaurant right now, numbers, you have to pick, right? You have to pick a number and then you can do your add-ons after that. The unique part about PropStream is we shied away from that. We no longer force anybody to pick a list anymore. And I think that's the most important part that people need to understand. And that's, again, my philosophy is that a lead is not always going to be on the list. And to answer your question, I think that's what makes PropStream very sought after for those that are doing unique stuff like subject twos, lease options, they're buying mortgage notes, they're doing all that unique stuff. And the reason for that is because we're not forcing anybody to pick a list anymore. We give you over 165 filters that you get to use no matter what. So if you're, let's say, a person who wants to go after properties and you want to do a subject to on that property, guess what? I'll give you an example of some things that you can do in PropStream. Here's a very popular list for sub twos. How about a property that failed on market because they wanted to sell, but they couldn't do it the traditional way? Not only did it fail, but it has one mortgage with no more than 4%, and that mortgage is assumable, FHA, VA, or conventional loan. If you're thinking, wow, that is a pretty good list, guess what? You can do that exact list in PropStream, ladies and gentlemen. Right? We didn't force you to say you have to start with pre-foreclosure first, and then you can go look for that 4% interest rate that you need. No, if you just want to see anybody in the market with 4% fixed, guess what? Just type that in our search filter and we'll show you every property that we've acquired with a mortgage that's 4% fixed or below. And now you can approach these homeowners and, offer them that strategy, whatever it's a lease option, creative seller financing, let's call it that, because there's so many different strategies out there, right? So I love that about PropStream. And that not only applies to those that are doing the unique strategies, lease options, creative seller financing, don't forget that philosophy because, for example, if you're a wholesaler today and you're thinking that strategy Burton just said won't apply to me, no, you're wrong. I'll give you an example of a lead that's not on the list. Yes. How about a homeowner who's been living in their house for 10 years that's been sharing one bathroom with their family? That's the reason my dad sold our house when I was in middle school, because he had 2 teenage boys fighting over hot water. So how many people in your neighborhood today are sharing one bathroom over 10 years? Have you considered looking for that? No. Guess what? We have the filters for you to do that this afternoon. And those are homeowners that you need to consider reaching out to, because not everyone's going to sell you the house because they're in pre-foreclosure. My dad sold the house because of one bathroom, and he wasn't on any of the 20 lists I just mentioned a few moments ago. That's the huge difference. Remember I told you earlier, the difference between data companies is what you do with the ingredients?
Yes.
That goes for you guys as well, too. Just because I said that's what we have to do applies to you, too. You can be calling the same pre-foreclosure leads your competition is closing, or you can say, hey, I have 165 filters here. Let me get creative. And that is how you could cook differently with our data. Because again, the data access that you have, your login versus my login versus the next, we all have access to the same data, guys. It's PropStream, right? But who's going to cook different with our data once you access it? So cooking reference that I mentioned earlier that we have to do, that applies to you guys listening as well. So think of that, okay? Remember, the lead is not always going to be on a list. Keep that in your mind, and hopefully that helps you evolve when it comes to generating more leads.
And when you hit something right on the nail, and you don't even know what you've done, okay? Because one thing in this economy, we're in New York, but my investors invest all over the country, okay? And one of the things that we find is markets that we can't invest because the numbers are too high or what have you. The numbers like California and New York, the price points look like phone numbers. It's just like huge. So you can't do anything with it. And so when you mentioned about the wholesaler, because most wholesalers are looking to get something below market value, trying to get it 75% after repair value, and that's it. Right? You just mentioned some filters like your dad with the bathroom and everything like that. Nobody's really thinking about what I can plug in to see how I can find and be creative with these other type of leads that may not necessarily be on a general list. That is incredibly awesome. Incredible.
Yeah. There's so many out there, and I'm baffled and it really is. I think this really just leads to a bigger conversation everyone listening must have with their team or themselves, is that this is a challenge I want to give everybody listening. Before the end of your business day, get the team together and for the last 30 minutes, brainstorm situations homeowners would go through that are not on a list, right? We talked about sharing one bathroom. That's a life situation, right? Why would someone buy one bathroom? I'll give you a reason my dad bought the one bathroom. When he bought the house, initially, I was 2, my older brother was 4. Do a 2 and a 4-year-old need their own bathroom? No. What happens after 10 years go by? That 2 and 4-year-old are now 12 and 14 fighting over hot water before school. Again, that's the reason my dad sold. Here's another one that's big on my mind because I've been helping people with this one. Interest rates. For the last 24 months, people were talking about interest rates, whether it's a good thing, bad thing, you can have your perspective on it. One of the things I was hearing people say is nobody wants to sell their house because interest rates are so high. I've talked to these homeowners who have a 2-3% interest rate, but because the federal rates are at 5-6%, they don't want to sell. And I agree with that. Ladies and gentlemen, listen to what you just said. Who in their right mind would sell a 2-3% fixed loan for something that's 5-6%? They're going to end up losing money over the long haul. But that's the thing. I think people forgot. Remember, a lead isn't always going to be on a list. You got to start thinking outside the box. So while you were so fixated on 2 to 3% who didn't want to sell, did you ever consider going in PropStream and looking for everyone with an 8% interest rate or even higher? This is something that I got to remind everybody. What we know, homeowners don't know. We're real estate professionals. They're just homeowners going through life. Do you know how many millions of Americans today don't know what the interest rates are, the federal interest rates are? They don't know it's 5, 6. There's someone out there with a 10% interest rate on their mortgage, working 2 jobs, and does not have the time to look at news and say, oh, I didn't know rates were 5% and I can go refinance today and save me hundreds of dollars a month. Or, you know what, maybe I should sell my house today and go lock in something newer at a 5%. They don't know rates. That to me is that's your job. Your job is to look at our filters and say, what problems can I create out of these filters that are not on a list? Reverse engineer our filters. And those are the homeowners I go after. So high interest rates, sharing 1 bathroom, you inherited a property in a different state and you don't know what to do with it anymore. You can do that in PropStream. Find me all the out of state inherited properties. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what I want you guys to start doing. At the end of every business day, get your team together and just start thinking of situations homeowners go through. And can you apply those filters in PropStream? If the answer is yes, you just found yourself some new leads.
And I was going to ask, and it's like you're in my head. So I was going to ask you that question as far as how can, investors with today's economy and the climate and high interest rates and low inventory and all these things still find deals and build equity? You just shared that.
Always. There's always 2 sides of the fence. And I think that the interest rates was a big eye opener for me, is because I kept seeing people complain about nobody wants to sell. But there were a few that were like, hold up. There's always 2 sides of the fence. While I'm too busy focusing on the 2-3% that don't want to sell, let me jump on the other side of the fence. Let's look for everybody that has a higher interest rate and see what that conversation looks like. And boy, were those conversations pretty good for those leads, for those investors.
And one of the things, Burton, a lot of times we're thinking about like just real estate professionals. I'm even thinking about, what about consultants who consult real estate investors and or investor agents? Because in our community, investor agent is those real estate agents who invest themselves or want to, and
Yes.
who also serve real estate investors, right? So we call those investor agents in our community. But you have real estate consultants, business consultants, helping people grow and build and scale their business. They can use PropStream. Because I'm listening to you.
Yes. You nailed it on that. I say this all the time. I know our product's very popular with agents, very popular with investors. But if you really think about it, it's designed for anybody in the real estate space. And I use the word real estate professional because that's a big umbrella. We're talking contractors, lenders, escrow agents, title agents, pest control, property management. If you are anything I just mentioned, investor, agent, any of the above, you can use PropStream. Like the other day, someone was like, I'm a general contractor. How could I use PropStream for my advantage? I said, what do you do as a general contractor? I was like, we mainly specialize in roofs. I was like, great, here's an idea. Find all the single family properties built in 1990 and 2000 in PropStream. And you should have seen this gentleman's eyes. He was like, I never thought of it that way. And that means these houses are 20, 30. Yes, that means they're primed for a new roof. You just got to reach out to them and show them your quote. And he was just like mind-blowing. And that's, to me, I think, again, the lead is not on the list. So when you understand that, sky becomes the limit. So whether you're looking for mortgage notes, whether you're looking for senior owners in 2-story buildings, or whether you're looking for some of the high interest, these are things that you can do in PropStream. And I like to say this, and I want to emphasize this. I think we're in this evolution of real estate where things were done a certain way in the past because of limited technology. And that's, you got to get a list first and then work off that, to how things are being done today, which is, guys, we have a lot of data and a lot of filters. It's a buffet for you. If you want to put ice cream on your steak, go put ice cream on your steak. No one's going to tell you anything, but you can do that in PropStream. Well, there's still products out there. They're like, no, time out. You got to pick a number first before you supersize your fries or whatever. That, to me, you have to understand. And unfortunately, there are still people that are stuck in that traditional approach. And this is why I still, to this very day, and there's nothing wrong with it, this is why I still get users that are like, when are you going to get the next pre-foreclosure list? When are you going to get the next bankruptcy update? When are you going to get this? And I remind them, there's people out there that want to sell and they're not on that list. So yes, it's going to come. Set up your saved searches, get those notifications, because when the new pre-foreclosure comes, I want you to call them. So, I'll show you how to set up your notifications and get all those alerts. But don't wait for that alert. There are people out there that are sharing one bathroom, have high interest rates, living in old properties, senior citizens in 2-story buildings that want to consolidate. These are things that you can do in PropStream. And I'm not seeing it in a degree that I personally am happy on. So me personally, I don't think my mission is complete. I think my mission is to go out there and share this philosophy that you have a buffet of data in front of you, real estate professionals that are listening, and you need to take advantage of it, because the things of the old way are starting to evolve, and you need to evolve with that. Otherwise you will be left behind, unfortunately.
Exactly. And I tell people, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. And so that's one of the things that a lot of people need to pay attention to. And before I let you go, because I know this is just so awesome.
Me too. I could be here for hours.
Loving this conversation. But what keeps you passionate, Burton? What keeps you passionate about working with real estate professionals every day? What keeps you really wanting to go? Because I hear your passion. I hear everything that you're saying. Your mission is not complete. What keeps you passionate about working with us?
If I could be extremely honest with you guys, I hope you guys don't get mad at me for this answer, but it's not you guys. It's definitely not you, real estate professionals. And I say that with a smile, because at first I was like, man, I love doing what we do at PropStream, because I get to help the consumer that's calling in and Burton, help me find a new lead, help me find an off-market property. And so at first I was like, man, I love what we do, because we help our users, we help these real estate professionals achieve financial freedom, we help them spend more time with their family members, we help them build their businesses and really achieve their dream. But then I realized it's beyond that. You know what the reason I have stayed and I'm inspired is because of what you guys do with our data. I'm happy you guys are living out your dreams and finding. But what I'm really happy about is when you use our data to solve someone's problem. Again, I grew up in a household where parents weren't making the greatest financial decisions. And I remember having to live in hotels. I remember having to sleep out of the car as a kid. It wasn't the greatest thing as a kid going through that. And again, I had no control of that. It was my parents making their decisions, and that impacted the family. That's why I've stayed. I feel like I need to stay, because the better I can make that data, the faster you can help that homeowner. And then there's a kid that's not going to sleep in a car anymore. There's a kid that's not going to transfer schools and make new friends. There's a homeowner who's not going to have to experience depression because you saved their life. So that's my answer. It's beyond you guys. It's our data, and what you guys do with our data really change the community for the better. You single-handedly affect the community for the better. And what also has me stay in PropStream, if you go to our main website, PropStream.com, and at the very top, you go to connect and you hit about, you'll see exactly why I love PropStream. We value giving back to the community. One of the things that we do charities. We did Autism Speaks, K9 for Warriors. We do Skid Row because we're in LA or Orange County, but we drive to Skid Row. We give out PropStream shirts and food and clothes and socks. And we do One Tree Planted, families, communities together. We did A Sense of Home, which took teenage adolescents that were struggling and heading towards homelessness, and we made sure that they had a house over their head. That's why I've stayed. It's because the true power of the data is to not only help you guys, but to impact the nation directly, to help that homeowner, that buyer. And again, we also need to give back. And so if you feel like you're that person, I truly believe that there are superheroes in this world, not the ones that you've seen on TVs and comic books and what Disney is putting on TV. But what I mean superheroes is you guys are the ones that no one talks about. You guys are the ones saving lives and preventing kids from transferring and having to make new friends and all that. So if someone were to ask me, Burton, do you believe in superheroes? Absolutely. There are people listening to me right now that are superheroes. So thank you guys. That's what's inspired me to stay for 10 plus years. And I look forward to the day that I can retire with this company as well.
Hey, you, right there watching life slip away day after day. Are you overworked, underpaid? At RIA Mastermind and Training, we are looking for a particular woman. Focused, interested in real estate, investing, and building wealth, she's more than a dreamer. She's already called the number at the bottom of the screen. What she has yet to discover is she just changed her stars. Welcome to RIA. Now you can. RIANYC.org, 646-437-6003.
Wow, Burton, I love that. I'm sitting here holding.
You already do, man.
It's really because it gives me chills just to know that you as a person, we're talking about Burton as Burton, the dad, juggling family and business and all the things that you do at PropStream for us real estate professionals. And then we talk about the PropStream and what they do as a community, and then, as a company, and what you do for the community combined. So it's you, but it's also PropStream and what you are able to do at PropStream for us. It's just really awesome to know that your company and the company that you keep have the same mission and the vision, and understand that we out here as investors are trying to save communities, trying to keep people in decent homes, trying to make sure that communities that are underserved get served. So some of these things are things that go unstated that you just stated so eloquently. So thank you so much for that. So I'm really excited.
Again, thanks you guys for letting me be a part of your journey. And if you think that we can help you unlock your superpowers, come have a chat with our team. Let us have this chat with you. We want to make sure we unlock your superpowers and equip you with the tools that you need to go solve those problems. So thank you so much for having me, and thank you for allowing us to share what we know about data and our passion behind it.
This has definitely been a treat for me. Like I really am a fan. So look, I was a fan before, but now after this interview, I am a super fan, right? So now I need my shirt. I need to get my plan. I need to get and so I'm such a fan of, what it is, because we in my community, we absolutely have charity in my business, and we do it. And it's part of our mission that we have to do that. We have to do advocacy.
Yes.
A lot of that stuff. And we do legislative updates. We do white papers to Congress. We do all that to make sure that we're representing the investment industry as we know it, because sometimes, it gets misstated, and we need to make sure that the right information is being shared, because all of us are not slumlords. All of us are not trying to rob people. All of us are not trying to take people's property. So I'm liking the fact that we do have a tool such as PropStream to help us evaluate and help us educate our communities and our homeowners and our professionals to use the system. So I'm really excited about that. So is there any last thing that you want to say before we let you go and get back to your life of helping us save lives? Anything that you want to say?
Just one last thing. This is really for the audience. I want you guys to think about this, okay? Because I remember someone saying this to an audience, and it really resonated with me. But there is someone out there that needs you to call them, not anybody else. They've literally never picked up the phone for anybody else. They're looking at caller ID after caller ID after caller ID, and they're not picking up. But for whatever reason, they're going to pick up your number, and that person needs your help. So if you don't pick up that phone, that person is never going to pick up that phone and never solve their problems. Remember, there is someone out there that's been waiting for your call and your call alone. I don't know why. I don't know what their reasons are, but you need to figure it out. And you got to go save them. They need your help. So remember that. You don't pick up that phone, you're letting that person down, and perhaps their kids. So pick up the phone, unlock your superpowers, let us be there to help you out, and go be that superhero that you know you are. So thank you guys.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much, Burton. Thank you, PropStream, for all that you do. And it was a pleasure having you come on and serve the community like you do. Thank you so much.
This has been Fiscally Fabulous with Dr. Teresa R. Martin, Esquire. If you would like to learn more on how you can build generational wealth and leave a lasting legacy, go to www.enjoyyourlegacy.com and be sure to subscribe. Thank you for listening. Until next time.